Hi again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods. We're going to do part 2 of how to get started whittling today. I did a previous video on getting the basic supplies together, your knives, your sharpening material, and your wood. We're basically going to be using the knives I had talked about, a Stanley 199 and a relatively inexpensive pocket knife, and a piece of pine wood that is 3/4 by 3/4. And picked up, one of the big box stores. So these are supplies you can readily pick up and get yourself ready to go whittling pretty quickly, actually. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do basic, the pretty straightforward, simple face, head type figure. I've done these before, but we'll kind of continue part 2 of the prior video, and this will actually get you carving. Alrighty, get everything set up and be right back. What I like to do, and I think is good practice for people just starting out, again, these videos are geared for people who are really just thinking about getting into the hobby or just getting started. I'll take the piece of wood and just whittle around, carving little faces, heads, sometimes even full bodies or whatever, and try different things out. As I mentioned before, this wood is pine from one of the big box stores. It's not necessarily the best wood to buy. If you can get yourself some basswood, that's probably more ideal. But the purpose of this video is essentially an easy way to try whittling out and get started. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to start with the Stanley, and then maybe we'll work our way up to the pocket knife. A simple thing to consider when you're doing a head, if you use the corner to form the most prominent part of the face, which would be the nose, it's already kind of built into the shape. And if you're going to continue along, you also can consider the other edges, the other corners of the wood, a potential area to carve the ears in. But simply, the way we're going to start is you put your knife kind of straight into the wood and carve up to it. These are basically stop cuts. So you're going to form a little notch in the wood. That's going to be the beginning of your nose. This is going to be the bridge of the nose and the base of the nose. You're going to cut in at the base of the nose and again cut up to it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So you're going to wind up with 2 little notches like that. And here you can already see the nose forming. I like to bring the top notch down a little bit. Again, this is going to be the forehead, the eyebrows, and the brow area. Sometimes I'll kind of swoop out a little bit area. That'll basically form the bottom of the eyes. So pretty straightforward. The next thing is to actually form the nose. And I typically don't draw the lines here, but consider drawing a line here and here. You're going to basically be cutting into the wood like so. And put your knife right in there and cut in. You're going to go a little deeper where the eye is, and then try to match the bottom of the nose where that ends. So you got your little notch and your little cut in there. Go to the corner of the eye and the nose and put your knife in the wood there, and then just kind of cut right up to it. And that's it. Take that little notch out. So you can see you've deepened it a bit to where the eye is going to be. Essentially, same thing on the other side. Use your line. Go with your knife. Go a little deeper where the eye and the nose meet, and go the top. These are essentially chip cuts in essence. And just kind of take that out. And you can clean up the nose, maybe bring it up a little bit on each side if you choose. Again, these are just kind of practice faces, so we're not getting overly detailed here. Just getting you kind of started. So basically all we've used here is little chip cuts and push cuts. I tend to bring the nostril area up a little bit on both sides. So there you go. And really that quickly what you've got here is the beginnings of a very basic face, nose and eyes. What you want to then do is push the nose back into the face. The nose, typically, if you look at your own face in profile or pictures of the head in profile, you see the nose does not sit right on the surface of the face. It kind of sets back a little bit. So in order to do that, we're going to form basically cuts like this. It's going to basically almost form an M. That's the letter M. You're going to go this way and then down at the bottom of the nose and then slowly up following the nostril area and then down again. These lines here will basically be your frown lines, and this will push the nose back. And in order to do that, we're going to stick the knife right in the wood. Again, these are going to be basic sort of chip cuts. Stick the edge of the point of the knife right into the wood, deeper where the nostril and the cheek meet, and then same thing, go up on that side into the wood. So you basically cut that little notch out, and then you're going to basically cut right up to it. So as you can see, it essentially pushes the nose back just a bit into the face. Same thing on the other side. Knife into the wood, deeper where the nostril and the cheek meet. Same thing over there. And then remove that little chip. Get that out. And that's it. Now you've got your beginnings of a very simple face. You got your nose sitting there and the beginnings of where you're going to have your mouth. To show you that we can also use a pocket knife, I'm going to switch over to this very inexpensive Rough Rider pocket knife. At least it was inexpensive when I bought it a number of years ago. I think they're also still relatively inexpensive. You can use whatever pocket knife you have as long as you get it sharpened and ready to go, like I had described in the other video. So anyway, what I like to do is start to form the chin. We're going to do an actual mouth here, no beard or mustache. It's actually pretty simple to do. Just kind of get a bit of a swoop in there. If you look at your own chin and lower lip, you'll see there's sort of a bit of an indentation right below the lower lip. That's what we're doing here. We're just kind of cutting that out. It's easy if your knife is thin, but if not, you can also do it by cutting in a notch over here and kind of doing it that way as well. That'll essentially pretty much get you the same idea. Now what we're going to want to do is draw a line in here. This is going to be where the lips meet. Draw it across there a little bit. Again, your lower lip, your upper lip. We're going to go in with our knife a little deeper where the edge of the end of the mouth is. Do it on both sides. And that's it. And then just essentially carefully cut up to it. And if you can see, that's the beginning of that. We basically are forming the lower lip there. I like to then go back and cut down from the top to form the upper lip. And that's it. We have the very basic mouth. The other thing you can do is to deepen it a little bit, is to go in with your knife right at the edge of the mouth where the mouth ends, corners of your mouth end, and put the knife in there. Get it in the wood a little ways. Do it on both sides. And then kind of go, depending on what kind of angle you put this next cut in at, is going to make him or her look either happy or sad or frowning or angry. If you don't want it too bad, just make a shallow cut, go in there, and then cut right up to that. And there you go. Another one on this side. And kind of cut up to that. Remove that little piece in the wood there. You can play around with it. If you're not happy with the way it came out, then again, these are basic practice pieces here. We're attempting to carve a very simple face, and we have the main components all done right now. Mark where you want the bottom of the chin. Say right about there, depending on how big you want his chin. Cut up to that. And there you go. From profile, you can see we have a very basic face. Angle this up a little bit. Cut up to it. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about getting everything perfect. I mean, we're not, these are sort of cartoony figures, so we're not concerning ourselves with getting everything exactly right. But however you want to go about it. Next thing you can do to add a little bit more character to the nose is take your pencil, draw a line. This is going to define the nostril from the bridge of the nose. Draw a line in there. Draw a line in there, both sides. Make sure they're pretty straight, or in a sense, fairly symmetrical. Put your knife in the wood there, and then cut up to it. Cut down to it. Take out a little bit of a notch there. Same thing on the other side. Put your knife into the wood, cut up to it, cut down to it. Go back, take a look at it. You can deepen it if you want. You can see, it might not show up too well on the video, but we're basically forming the nostril area over there. It gives a little bit more character to the nose. To continue with the eyes, we're going to do really, really simple eyes that are maybe slightly squinty. That's what you want to call it. I typically just go, and I'll draw a line from where the nose and the eye socket meet. Draw a line down like that. Same thing on the other side. Draw a line down. It helps if you draw the line before you actually make your cut. That way they're fairly symmetrical. Much easier to change a line than a cut that you've made. So again, knife in the wood. Cut up to it slightly. Maybe cut down to it as well. Same thing on the other side. Knife in the wood. Deeper where the nose and the eye socket meet. Cut up to it and maybe cut down to it a little bit. That's it. Kind of forms the lower, the cheekbone area. It gives the illusion of that a little bit. So there you go. Now, the forehead kind of angles backward from it almost follows the same profile of the nose. You want to kind of get that forehead back a little bit. So, cut some wood out to get it back. And again, if you're going to be putting hair or a hat or something else, you can kind of allow for that too. Maybe not cut all the way back. Now, what I typically like to do, and again, it's very simple, to form the brow, the eyebrow, is just to put a line. Just get my knife and kind of roll it across there. So I've cut a notch basically, or excuse me, just made a line with my knife that goes across the top. And look at this as the eyebrow, the brow. And then I basically go around and cut up to it. This method allows you to get heads that are passable, easy enough to do, and then you can practice on adding expressions and changing the character of the individual by, whether it's an open mouth or whether it's smiling, it's got a beard, it's got a mustache, whatever the case may be. The other thing you can consider doing, I mean, this kind of gives it one big unibrow over here, is to cut a notch right in the middle. So first thing I do is put my knife in there and I just cut right down. As you can see, I just cut right down in there. And then I just take out little chip cuts again. I'll make a little triangle cut. Cut there, cut up to it to remove that little notch. And the same thing on the other side, just basically remove that notch. It almost gives it sort of a worried look, I guess. The eyebrows look like they're curving upwards slightly at the top of the nose. I mean, again, you don't have to do that, but you can. It gives just a little bit more character. The other thing you can do is maybe come down, take that notch out on the top, and take that notch out over here as well. So you have the basic eyebrow in there, and you can take it from there, essentially. Now, as far as the balance of the head goes, we're not going to get overly detailed here, but I'm just going to show you real quick, maybe just on this side over here. I don't want the video to run too long, because this is just going to show you. I want you to actually, people who are watching it and interested in learning how to whittle, better than watching me go out and find yourself a piece of wood like we talked about in the prior video and start whittling. But just real quick, how to do a very, very basic ear is go into the wood right about where the eye level is, the eye and the nose meet. So you can use that as a guide. Cut into there, cut down to that. So you have a notch over there, as you can see. And then I take it to about where the mouth is, the upper lip. And you can see from your own head, it's approximation. Go in there and same thing, cut up to that. So we basically just, in essence, are forming an ear. I then will go in and kind of round out the ear a bit. And depending on what you do with the back, if you're going to add hair, if there's going to be a hat, you'll take it from there. Now, in order to give a little bit more detail to the ear, we'll do another little chip cut. Think of it this way: we're going to go in the wood like that with the cut, and in the wood like that at an angle to that prior one, and then up on the top. So we're going to stick our knife in the wood, pointy end in, right where the middle of the ear. Just kind of stick it in the wood there. Go this way, again following your pencil lines, and then this way, and then you can just go in there and remove those little notches of wood out, little triangles of wood. It gives you a very basic ear. You can down the road you can work on getting more detailed if you choose, but this will give you a very, very basic ear. And I think that's just generally it. I think we've covered everything to get you started. You've seen the cuts, push cuts and chip cuts. That's really all we're talking about here. It's not all that difficult. I just wanted to show you on a piece of pine that we had talked about in the prior video how you can form some of the basic, use some of the basic cuts to get yourself started whittling. And I mean, this is the basic head. Obviously, eventually you're going to want to maybe do the entire figure, or maybe not. Maybe you're just looking at doing a head. Maybe it could be the beginnings of a wood spirit, anything of that nature. So there you go. These are basics. I hope I kind of covered some of the talked about how relatively easy it is. These are very simple cuts. It doesn't take long. You'll get started, and before you know it, you'll be making progress, and you'll get really good at it, and you'll find out how easy and quickly it happens. And these are basically the knives we use: the old Stanley and an old old pocket knife, Rough Rider pocket knife, and got ourselves the beginnings of the little head. Anyway, another quick video on getting started whittling today. If you do have any comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Have a good day. Take care.